Hello and welcome to another Metaphysical Monday. It is the first Monday in September, also the new moon. We're going to start the month off with our metaphysical picks of the month. So I picked a crystal. If I'm looking down, I have a list. I picked a crystal, an herb or plant. This time it's kind of more of a plant than an herb, but you know, we're gonna talk about the properties. We're gonna pick a tarot card for the month and a symbol for the month. So if you're new to the channel, my name is Melissa. This is Uncensored Intuition, where we have Metaphysical Monday is back. I took a year-long break from Metaphysical Monday, but we're back. And so we do Metaphysical Monday. We do tarot readings on random things that just like pop in my head that, hey, people might want to know something about this. And then we also do our witchy unboxing video. And I talk a lot about crystals, and that's usually the Metaphysical Monday thing, but I'm incorporating a lot of stuff into that. Being that this is the first one back after a long break of Metaphysical Mondays, I did ask for suggestions, and there is a giveaway because we are almost at 2,000 subscribers. Not the last video, but the one before that, it says giveaway in the title. You'll know which one it is. Go check that one out. It talks about what's coming up on the channel, and there's also a giveaway in there where you can suggest topics for Metaphysical Monday as well. So I want to lay out the month for you a little bit. We'll get started. So I'm doing the first Monday, we're going to do our picks of the month. So I'm going to pick a crystal, an herb, a tarot card, and a symbol. And we're going to go over those in the first video. And then the other Mondays are going to be either a how-to video based on some suggestions that are in the previous video, or, you know, a couple back. A suggestion directly from you guys, and then, you know, maybe some other little surprises here and there. I do have a couple of lists going for crystals for, so like crystals for ancestor work, crystals for shadow work, that kind of stuff. So that's coming up on Metaphysical Mondays too. Other than Mondays, I'm going to be randomly posting our unboxing videos will be really when I get the box, which is not really consistent. So that'll kind of be toward the end of the month, at least, we'll say. So, and then the tarot readings, like I said, were random. I'm going to be trying to do at least a tarot reading a week and a Metaphysical Monday. So at the very least, you're going to get 2 videos a week. So that's what we have going on. Let's get started. You want to know what our picks are. So I picked these based on a few things. The Witches Almanac is a good resource for things that are going on each month. It is specific to the year, and it has a lot of other information in it. So I recommend the Witches Almanac. But going off of that, getting things from just intuition in general, so yeah, like they just kind of things that have been popping up that I feel like maybe Spirit is saying you need to talk about this. So that's kind of what led the channel the way so far, was, you know, Spirit saying, hey, maybe you should talk about that. So let's start with our crystal, because I know a lot of us are big on the crystals. So our crystal for the month is black tourmaline. Our plant or herb of the month is going to be blackberry or vines, and that's also based off of the almanac. And then we'll pull a tarot card. We're going to pull a tarot card to figure out what, you know, focus we should have for the month as a whole. And then the symbol that I've chosen keeps coming up. It actually showed up in the Witches Almanac when I was flipping through. I've been seeing it a lot. And also it's associated with Egyptian deities, which Anubis has been coming up a lot. So there may be some more on that later. So the Ankh, or Ankh, it's pronounced however you want to pronounce it. I'm sure some people will disagree, but I've heard it pronounced both ways. I've also heard Ankh, so totally depends on where you're getting your information, I guess, on how you want to pronounce it. So that's going to be our symbol. So let's get started with black tourmaline. I have some samples of black tourmaline. Again, if I look down, it's my list. So typically what you're going to see for black tourmaline looks like this, with the elongated kind of stripiness to it. That's just how it naturally occurs. This is a raw piece of tourmaline. You can also find it tumbled. Let's see if I can get that visible for you. You can kind of notice that in some of them you can still see those, because that is how it's structured throughout. Let me see if I can get a good, like, yeah, maybe not. But it also, it doesn't fully polish this, like most of the black tourmaline tumbles. You can get them where they're super, but super polished, but they do have a lot of crevices, so it's kind of hard to get a good polish on it. I'm sure there are plenty of people that can, or plenty of companies or suppliers that can. For me, it's a rare find, but I'm not really looking for perfection. I'm looking for the properties. So that's what it kind of looks like. So let's talk about it a little bit. My geek points. All right, so I'm going to geek out on the geology aspect. It's a hexagonal structure. That's what gives it the shape that it grows in. It's in the aluminum borosilicate family, and it contains metals, specifically magnesium and iron. There are other metals, and that does kind of have an effect on the color. So specifically, black tourmaline has more of the metallic qualities. Some of them, I have like a huge bag of them, and I cleaned up, and I don't know where any of that is. Some of them you'll see brown in it. So it all just depends of what metals are in there. Based on, to determine the color or how dark or light the black is on it, I guess. It is a Mohs 7, which is pretty hard, and that also means that it is safe to go in the water. So if you wanted to do a grounding bath, you could put the black tourmaline in the water. It's not going to do anything to the stone. It's not going to degrade it in any way. It is a harder one, but because of the hexagonal structure of it, that does kind of make it harder to carve. So you're not going to find black tourmaline carvings, like shapes. Like I have this aventurine Buddha, right? Like you're not going to find that in black tourmaline very much, unless you find somebody who's really, really good. It would probably be pretty pricey, but just because of that structure, it does get a little bit crumbly. Now, just because it's hard on the Mohs scale doesn't necessarily mean that it can't fall apart. The Mohs scale mainly refers to a scratch test where, depending on what type of material you try and scratch it with, it will either leave a mark or not leave a mark. But that does mean that it is fine in the water. Anything softer than, I'd say, like 5, I wouldn't put in the water, just personal preference. A lot of people say selenite or satin spar, not to get it wet. You can get it wet. It does take some of the sheen off of it, but it doesn't change the properties, and it doesn't just dissolve. It's salt. Now, if you got halite, which is a salt, which is Himalayan salt, that'll just dissolve right away. So anyways, that's a little small lesson on hardness of gems. All right, no more geeking out. Let's get into the properties. Okay, I'm going to start with the physical properties. So physical properties, I wrote everything down so I wouldn't forget. Reduces toxins and heavy metals. You can use it topically to help kind of eliminate toxicity. The grounding bath, like I was mentioning before, throwing some stones in a bath water, that can help pull some of the toxicity out. Heavy metals, it's great for circulation, weight loss, and boosts the immune system. Now, it's not going to make you drop 20 pounds in a month. That's not what the weight loss aspect of it would be. It would be the weight loss aspect of using the stone for that would be more related to the metaphysical properties, which I'm going to get into right now. Metaphysical properties: grounding, protection, purification, stress, anxiety, mood regulation, obsessiveness, and releasing anger. Now, that with that comes a warning, so hang tight. I'm going to start in the beginning. Grounding and protection, they kind of go hand in hand. It is a grounding stone, which is probably the most common known use for it, is grounding. Connects to the root chakra. So if you're feeling spacey, you can't focus, that kind of stuff, it will help kind of ground you. It's great for meditation as well because it will keep you grounded. We're not going to get into a lesson on grounding. Protection, same thing. Not really, but protection meaning repelling. What was that? Repelling negativity. I don't know if you heard that, but there's like squeal. The protection part goes more with the purification part. Purification, getting rid of unwanted, repelling negative energy, banishing. It's good stone if you're going to do any type of banishing rituals or activities, spells. I don't know why I don't like saying spells. I don't know. I feel like maybe the algorithm is not going to like that and nobody's going to get to see what I have to say. Not that what I have to say is super important. Okay, anyways, moving on. So, purification. So, eliminating, banishing negativity. Another good reason to use it in the bath. That goes hand in hand with the protection. Not only does it remove and repel and banish, but it also kind of makes a barrier. I have a piece of black tourmaline over the threshold of my home. It's on the door frame, on the inside of the house, on the door frame. That way I know it's not going anywhere. And it sits there and protects my house from unwanted visitors. That's the intention that I have given it. Anyone who wants to come into my home with negative intentions, it prevents that from happening. And as one of my children pointed out earlier today when I was talking about black tourmaline in preparation for this video, there's a certain person who has not been to our house in forever, who used to come over all the time. And there may be somebody watching this who knows exactly who that is. You know who you are. All right. So moving on. We don't have any issues with this person. They just don't come to our home anymore. It's their choice. Just saying. All right. So it works. Also, you can put it on like the corners of your property to protect the whole property. If you want to, people vandalizing or messing with your stuff in your yard or whatever, you can do it on the corners of your property as well. So, and you do have to, like with working with crystals, I always set an intention for the crystal and don't just leave it up to the crystal to figure it out, help it out a little bit, help the energies out. All right. So now let's go to the more emotional metaphysical uses: stress, moodiness, anxiety, obsessiveness, and anger, releasing anger. The stress, that can be related to a weight loss use. So reducing your stress, reducing anxiety, can help you make healthier eating choices. A lot of us eat emotionally. When we're feeling any type of way, we want to eat. When we celebrate, we eat. So using it to help with the stress level and anxiety, obsessive thoughts, obsessive, I don't know what the word is I was reaching for there, but I guess it's not important. Just overall obsessiveness. Not necessarily like obsessive compulsive disorder as a disorder. Get treatment for that. This is not a substitute for any type of medical treatment or professional assistance. No. But if you find yourself kind of hyper-focusing, it can help with that. But it's not a substitute. Those kids are going crazy. Gosh. Anyway, so releasing anger, here's the warning. When you release anger, when you get a stone to help you release anger, it gets released. Somehow, some way. And you don't want it releasing into a physical pain. You're going to get angry a lot. If you are tend to lean towards anger in situations, and you bring in some black tourmaline to help you not do that, then I would say be prepared. You've set an intention to release anger, to be more positive, uplifting, etc. The anger has to go somewhere. So if you're going to do something like that, I would do it. Make sure you have a space of time where you can let that anger out. Whether you're, give yourself a night at a hotel room to scream into a pillow or whatever, take a boxing class, something like that, to help you literally expel the anger in a physical way, that will help you release anger. So you can use it for that. It's also good for travel, for obvious reasons, protection, etc. Protection jewelry, amulets, that kind of stuff. You see black tourmaline, earrings, all kinds of things. It's a very popular one. I know I'm not starting with a rare stone that you don't know anything about, that you want to learn out. You probably know most of this stuff, but I feel like it's a good stone to use right now. We'll just leave that at that. All right, so that's about our crystal for the month. Our herb slash plant for the month is going to be vine. I am going to read a little passage. So I did come up with this from the Witches Almanac. So I'm going to read what they have to say about it, and then some of the properties that I found for it. So it says vine, but I'm going to explain when in reading this what they mean by why I'm saying blackberry as the vine. Okay, so from the Witches Almanac, this is what it looks like for this. This is from spring 2021 to spring 2022. And we are on the moon phase calendars in section. So for September 2nd to September 29th, Celtic scholars agree that vine refers to blackberry bramble bush. The sacred nature of the blackberry is evidenced in old tales. A loop of blackberry brambles served as a source of healing. Traditional rites involved passing a baby through the loop 3 times to secure good health. One ancient legend tells how blackberries gathered and eaten within the span of the waxing moon at harvest time assured protection from the force of evil runes. For refuge in times of danger, one need only creep under a bramble bush. In rural regions of France and the British Isles, even to present day, it is considered dangerous to eat blackberries. There's a lot of myths and stuff surrounding it being not okay to eat. I'll touch on it, but I'm not going deep. The reason given in Brittany is the fruit belongs to fairies, and they resent it when mortals presume to taste the magical berries. So from the Witches Almanac, it's kind of saying that it's because it's the fairies. In doing research for this video on the magical properties of the plant, there were a lot of references to it being forbidden for many reasons. Google's free, so if this, like, for some reason bells are ringing in your head and you need to find out more about this, you can Google things like blackberries and Lucifer, blackberries and Jesus, both. There are tales for both, and it kind of explains from a Christianity point of view why it would be considered forbidden to eat the fruit of the blackberry. But these are like legends, and we all, like, I don't eat them, but I don't eat any berries because I'm weird. But they're still sold in the grocery store. There's nothing like super major about them, but there is some folklore, we'll call it, surrounding why it might be forbidden to eat the blackberries. So let's get into the properties that I found in my research. All right, so they're medicinal. We're gonna air quote medicinal properties. This is not magical properties. So when I'm talking about the herbs, I'm going either medicinal or magical. Magical would be more if you're going to use this in some type of working or ritual or spell work where you're not going to necessarily consume the plant. Medicinal would be more if you are, herbalism aspect, what it can help with if consumed. So just to clarify, so medicinally does not necessarily mean that it's going to cure anything. I'm not a doctor. I don't claim to be one. So, do your own research. As with anything that I say in any of these videos, do your own research. I am only touching on things to maybe spark something that you may need. If your bells are ringing in your head, your ears start ringing, something is triggering you, then by all means, that's spirit letting you know to look further into whatever the subject is. So, but not a doctor. So, for the remedies, we'll say remedies, medicinal. So it's the berries themselves are astringent, can be used to tighten and tone tissues that may lead to water loss. So, how did I write that? To prevent water loss. Okay, same thing I just said. So things relating to diarrhea, they mentioned things about heavier menstrual cycles, it alleviating water loss. Basically, it's more of a preventative for getting dehydrated. So that's kind of, there's, if you make a root tea, you can use it for diarrhea, for blackberry root, which can be found in a lot of herbal stores, shops, what have you. Maybe not like your local grocery store or Walmart, but you know, some of the smaller mom and pop places or places that have the weird stuff, go there. That's the best place to get this stuff. And then the leaves, if you take a fresh leaf and kind of break it, and you can rub it on a bruise. It helps heal bruises. Never tried it, so if you do, let me know. All right, let's get into why you really hear the magical properties. So, planted near a home, it protects against vampires and other earthbound spirits. The legend behind the vampires is that the vampires will be so distracted counting the berries on the bramble bush vine that they won't enter your home because they'll be so distracted counting berries, which I feel like this has some kind of weird Sesame Street connection. I might go do like a weird like dive into that on Google. I don't know. We'll see. But because, you know, the count. Anyway. All right. What else? Let's see. Magical properties. I lost my place. Oh, planted near a home. Yes. Planted near a home protects against. Okay. Branches. The branches. So there are different uses for each part of the plant. So we have the branches, the leaves, and the berries themselves. So let's talk about the branches. Anything that's thorny, and this bush is, most berries are in the rose family. They have thorns. It's a thorny bush. Anything with thorns is protective, unless you do practice any type of baneful practice. Whatever. Wording. So it's a protective, the branches. So you can, going back to the Jesus connection, there are some groups that believe that, I don't know, I don't recall from reading the Bible, but there are some who believe that the crown of thorns was from a bramble bush or bramble vine or blackberry or one of the berries. So that can be protective as well. You can make a wreath, a protective wreath for your home out of the thorny branches. There are other uses. Again, Google. All right, moving along. And it is related to the fire element. So again, being protective, but also be careful with that. So the leaves are connected to the water element and are associated with fertility. So blackberry leaves, which I have a blackberry leaf tea, fertility, and doing a tea of the leaves can also be used as an aphrodisiac. All right, berries. This is pretty simple. Blackberries represent earth or are associated with the element earth and are used for prosperity, so abundance, that kind of stuff. So again, kind of related to fertility. Fertility and abundance are related a lot. At least it is in my mind. But yeah, so berries, prosperity, leaves, fertility. The leaves to fertilize your intention. The berries are the fruit of that. Okay, so it grows literally kind of anywhere. There's not a specific region that it's found in. It is in the rose family. It is thorny, like I said, and it grows in dry, sandy soil. And a lot of times you'll see it kind of on the outskirts of woodlands or foresty areas. But also there are certain like species of the blackberry plant that has to pass through the digestive system of a bird in order to germinate. So you can find them a lot at below like where you find a lot of birds. So like at the bases of trees or under power lines, you might be able to find them in the outskirts where it's not like maintained by the city. Anyway, so very interesting fact on that. All right, so that is all I have about the blackberries. Now I would like to pick a tarot card, and this will kind of be our like focus card. You can take what you want from it, whether you want to feel this card as a message for you, or if you want to see this card as something, just an area of life to focus on. I thought somebody was coming in. Nope, they're not coming in. However you want to deal with it. So, but I will ask you, I'm going to give my interpretation of the card, and there's a lot of symbolism that I, don't necessarily see in the card that you might. I would like for the discussion in the comments to be, what would your interpretation of the card be, whether you're a reader or not. If you're a seasoned reader and you think that I am full of crap on what I think the card means, please let me know in the comments. I'm open to all interpretations of the card. If you're not a reader, what do you see? What does it make you feel? There's no really right or wrong in the tarot as far as I'm concerned. There are traditional meanings, but we have made so many different styles of decks and so many different versions and with different themes that, it really depends, I feel like, on your intuition more so. But it's, it's like your intuition being derived from the traditional meaning. But a lot of the images in the cards are pretty straightforward on what the traditional meaning of the card would be. So if you're not a reader, okay, yeah, no, that's not gonna work. Ugh. Okay. So what card do we want to see today for the month of September? Okay, and every month I'm going to use the same deck. If we get a repeat card, we'll draw again. I am using Morgan Greer. Turn around. I've been wanting that deck for a long time, and I finally got it on my birthday. We have the Wheel of Fortune. I like that. I like that for a card. It is like harvest season coming up, so I feel like that makes sense. In doing research for literally like the meaning of the month September, what September is good for, most of what I found is kind of transitionary. It's like changing your perspective from outward to inward. So there's a lot of that going on too. So I'll show you, in case you're not a reader and you're not familiar what the card looks like. This is the Wheel of Fortune. This is going to be our focus card for September for Metaphysical Monday. What do you notice here in the card? What is your immediate, if you're a reader, what is your immediate go-to meaning of the card? Now, we are doing just a single card, so there are not other cards to kind of clarify, but Wheel of Fortune, obviously fortune, a wheel being circular and having to do with cycles. So a lot of times the Wheel of Fortune could be a completion of a cycle or something along those lines. Starting a new cycle, we are on the new moon, so it could be that there is a new cycle starting collectively. So this could be like a collective message, but we're really going to discuss like the meaning of it. So for specifically this deck, things that I notice here is the person falling off of the wheel. Now, so the Wheel of Fortune can go in either direction. We can look at fortune, we can look at misfortune. It all depends on who's in control of the wheel. So who are you going to allow to control your destiny, right? In this particular depiction, there is like a hand, which appears to be like the hand of God or a divine hand, kind of controlling the situation. So are you like, Jesus, take the wheel? I'm not taking control. I feel like from this card, when you not fail or deny, more like deny yourself the opportunity to take control of your life or your destiny, okay? It's also kind of, to me, signifies that you also are trying to not take responsibility for it. They go hand in hand. So when you give control up to, there are times when giving control to a higher power is definitely advised. But there are other situations where you might want to, not give your power up. So I guess it would prompt a question of who are you giving power to? Who are you allowing to access your power? And where does that take you on the wheel? Is it going to go so fast that you fly off down there on the bottom there? Or are you sitting on top, counting your fortune? So I guess that would kind of be like a question or a focus. Where does the Where does the wheel of fortune seem to be? Which direction does it seem to be going for you? Is it going too fast? Who's in control? And is this just a cycle that keeps repeating? Or is there going to be an end to the cycle? Or are you starting a new cycle? So that would be our card to focus on. If you want to discuss in the comments, also feedback on any of the other information. If you know something about black tourmaline, or if you know something about the blackberries that I did not mention, I would love for you to add it in the comments. So let's get into the last part. Now that we've talked about our tarot card, we're going to talk about the symbol for the month. The symbol that I have chosen for the month is the Ankh. I don't really know how to start the explanation. There are many different interpretations of what the Ankh represents. I'm going to flip the page because I have a whole separate page for the Ankh, but I promise it won't be that much longer. It's just because I had to draw stuff and things like that. So I am going to show you. I also got information from the Witches Almanac on this, but it was already a symbol that I had already looked into for various other reasons, including my possible beginning deity work that I never really planned on doing, but it's really calling me. So that's the Ankh. Okay. So I'm going to read a little bit of what they have in the Witches Almanac, and then I'm going to go into what I found, because there are so many different interpretations of this particular symbol. So ancient Egyptians believed that life was meaningful, whether it was an earthly life or a life in the hereafter. It is for this reason that their symbol for life figured so prominently in daily life, as well as funerary texts found on the walls of ancient burial chambers. Deities such as Isis or Anubis are often depicted pressing the Ankh against the lips of the dead, allowing them to come to life in the underworld. So I'm going to skip that paragraph because that's kind of redundant. A simple symbol, the Ankh is rich with meaning. It represents both male and female genitalia, as well as the key to the gates of the afterlife. Its primary meaning of life can be found in the symbol design, with the oval at the top representing the rising sun, the crossbar representing the horizon over which the sun must climb, and the path of the sun through the underworld represented by the vertical bar. Okay, the Ankh reminds us that life is a continual cycle through which we pass. That sounds like our Wheel of Fortune. We can find hope in the rising sun, whether that be here on the physical plane or in the realms beyond. So that's from the Witches Almanac. Now, some of the symbol being... Oh, I should have left that open so you could see it. I have this Ankh staff. It's plastic. It's a prop. Maybe I should just do it like this so I can see. All right, so here's our Ankh. I'm going to use this for demonstration purposes. So in the almanac, it does describe it as representing both the male and the female gender. So we have different versions of that. So we have, I don't want to be graphic, but we have female and male. Okay. There were other interpretations that don't also relate it to that. But a lot of it having to do with the male and female coming together to give it the meaning of the creation of life from them coming together. So, and let me read what I had because I'm losing track. So the most common meaning is that it is life. Now, this also represents before both the physical life and the afterlife. It does represent both. It is often called the key of life, mentioned in the Witches Almanac, the key to the underworld. There's not really a one specific, I'm stuttering a lot. I am so sorry. There's not a specific detailed text that explains specifically, definitively what it is, where it came from. A lot of it is passed down through generations, interpretations of hieroglyphs in the pyramids and that sort of thing. It does predate where they kind of joined Greek mythology and ancient Egyptian mythology into Hermeticism. That's a whole other topic. But so back to the symbol itself. Conduit from life to death to rebirth, but also a conduit of electricity. There are beliefs that think that there may be a connection between the Ankh being related to the ohm, which is a way of measuring electricity. So they think that there may be a connection between the ancient Egyptians having electrical power and it being related to this symbol specifically. But, there's not a whole lot of information. And there is also a ton of information on the symbol itself. So it's easy to mix things up. So it do your own research, like I say with everything. But it also... the conduit from life to death to rebirth is also kind of depicted in here. So I talked about the electricity. Okay, so I have 3 different depictions. One I already went over of how this, a breakdown of the symbol. So also being related to just divine feminine. A lot of sources stated that it's related to specifically just the divine feminine and not the combination of both masculine and feminine. In that case, you would see the womb, the ovaries, and then the canal. So that could be one interpretation. Another interpretation, as the book said, was the rising sun, right? The horizon, and then the path from the underworld that the sun has to go through in order to reach the horizon and rise. That's what I have on the Ankh. It's carried by almost, I believe, every Egyptian god or deity, god or goddess, or deity. You will find this somewhere, either a staff that they're carrying or they carry it in their hand like this. But yeah, it's said to be a conduit between the afterlife and the earthly life. There's a lot of different things. So I'm curious if you have already done some research on it. What else have you found? What am I missing? What did I miss in any of these topics? I am totally open to you guys letting me know if there's something you know about one of these topics. Share with the class, if you will. So that's what we have for our 4 parts of Metaphysical Monday, beginning of the month. Also, it's a new moon, so it's a great time to start something new, do an intention, that sort of thing. That's what I have for you. Don't forget that the magic that you seek is within you.